it's your turn. Simply grab your laptop or smart device and log on to bahamasliquidation.com. Once you reach the main webpage, click on the My Account option where you can go to register. After filling in the necessary information, hit register and you're good to go. Happy bidding! Please have your credit card on hand as the winning bidder is responsible to pay for the winning items within 30 minutes of the auction closing. The winner must collect the items in store within 24 hours after the auction is closed. Please note that a 3.5% service charge will be added to your winning bid amount at checkout.
I won this HP laptop for $120 at bahamasliquidation.com.
I won this magic bullet for only $35 at bahamasliquidation.com.
Bahamas Liquidation Auction Center,
where you say hello to goodbye.
This is Global Radio 99.5.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network and the operators of this radio station.
There is power in the name of Jesus. There is power in the name of Jesus. There is power in the name of Jesus to break every chain, break every chain, break every chain. To break every chain, break every chain, break every chain.
Happy Sunday, everyone. It is another beautiful Sunday, and truly there is power, wonder-working power in the mighty name of Jesus. We trust that you are enjoying a wonderful Sunday. Some of you have been to church. Some of you are now spending time with your family, but we're asking you to draw near. It is Transforming Lives time, and we're on the air every Sunday. I mean, rain or sunshine, we've been consistent regardless of the occasion, Christmas or not. 4 p.m., we know that it's transforming lives. And so we stop out of our busy routine to spend this hour with you. We are delighted. We don't take it for granted. We know that it is absolutely an opportunity for God to use us as vessels to positively, under his power, positively change lives. So once again, welcome to Transforming Lives. A shout out to those of you on Facebook, those of you in the Zoom room, those of you on cable TV channel 974, of course, on the one and only Global 99.5 FM, and I think YouTube. From anywhere and everywhere, a pleasant Sunday. Before we get started, we say that Jesus, and we don't just say it, we mean it, that Jesus is at the center of this show. And so we're going to lead into Moments with the Word. But just before we do that, we want to send out to a shout out to Dr. Williams, David Williams. You know, he is passionate about being on this show. So anytime you don't see him, he's either traveling or engaged in ministry. He doesn't even allow sickness to stop him. So he's on the march, the men's march, doing his thing, making his presence felt. And so we want to say a shout out to him. And now we have another man, another passionate, strong, able, capable man of God in the room that is with us every Sunday, lifting up the name of Jesus Christ. Welcome to we're going now into Moments with the Word, center and foremost on the show, and we welcome the one and only Dr. L.V. McMillan to the show. What do you have to share with the people today, Dr. McMillan?
Good afternoon, Jackie. It's a pleasure for me to be with the team again on a Sunday afternoon. It's a beautiful one here in Miami also, and it reflects the great opportunities we have as human beings. And as I reflect on what I should share, my mind go on a phrase that I have developed that's called deception by default. What this means, if you know what the word default means, as far as technology and computer and things like that, the default setting is the original setting. When everything else is not working, the machine usually falls back to the default. What I call deception by default is when we believe something or we do not accept something because of ignorance. We just do not know about it. So we believe, and we truly believe that we believe, but it is not true. And I call anything like that in our lives deception by default. I'll give you an example. There were thousands of years when all human beings believed that the world was flat, that it could never be round. In fact, the scientist that first suggested it was prosecuted by priests and churches because the world could not be round. But it wasn't until centuries that it was really discovered that this planet Earth is circular and it is among many other circular bodies. That's just an example of the people years before who had belief that were wrong. So they were deceived, so to speak, by default because they had no other knowledge, they had no other information. Why do I mention that? It is the same thing that is referred to in the Bible when Jesus says, "My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge."
Yes.
The purpose of this program every Sunday is to share information in every area of life, right? Spiritual, financial, physical, so that we will not be deceived or we would not go a way that is wrong.
Right.
And let me just mention one more thing.
Go right ahead.
This is covered in the Bible, right? In Acts chapter 17, verse 30, it says that the three-in-one God, right? He overlooks ignorance. He overlooks when someone does not know. But watch this. We are held accountable for the information that comes to us.
Yes, sir.
I mentioned this in relationship to Christ. We share every Sunday who Christ is. There's nothing more powerful. There's no power on earth that's greater. He is the only source of eternal life, and he is our only Savior. We ask everybody to believe that. Don't take chances against it. Then we share other information, like what we're going to get this afternoon. When we receive it, Jesus expects us to follow through and believe it and do not be deceived. So this, I just want to share the main purpose of this program is to share information so that we can have knowledge and we can understand what it means to know the Lord Jesus Christ, trust him to fulfill in our lives everything we learn. Why? So that we can bring glory to him.
Amen.
Thank you for that.
Amen. Amen. I love you laid it down thick, a wonderful foundation for us to build upon. Well, today we have a guest in the house, somebody I've grown to love, someone I've grown to respect, someone that comes to us with a world of knowledge. And so we are happy to have once again, as we speak about diabetes, and I think the entire month is World Diabetes Month, we are so happy to have Miss Smith. Welcome to the program, Transforming Lives.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon.
So, Miss Shandira, tell us about three. We've had you consistently on the program, and I love when you're on the program because you come well prepared and you're able to begin from and you take your questions, the answers, you can go, you function in all those different directions. But tell us for somebody who's listening to the program for the very first time, tell us who is Shandira, and then tell us what is diabetes, because that's what we're talking about, diabetes in the workplace. And I'm just excited to hear, to sit back and hear what you have to share in that regards. But tell us about three facts about who is Shandira, and then what is diabetes, and then you can dive into your presentation.
Oh, wow. Three things. Okay, number one, Shandira loves Jesus.
Yes.
She is passionate about health and loves sharing health. And I love to go to the beach. That's my favorite.
Okay, I didn't know that. All right.
Yes.
So if I need to bribe you, that's what I need to do. Take you to the beach.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's
That's
me.
my happy place.
That's your happy place. When I need a favor, that's what I'm going to work through. Let's go to the beach and then discuss that favor. So thank you so much. And then I know, it's a given to you with diabetes, but every time we have persons, like I said, when I look at the rebroadcast and see the amount of persons that are listening to the program, very encouraging. So continue to share. Link, share the video, please, because knowledge is power. But let's just get to the very basics, and then you can go from there. What is diabetes?
Yes. So of course, I like to have my visuals.
I love you for that.
For persons who for persons who of their visual nature, and those who are online on radio, I'm gonna try to be as useful descriptive as possible. So so diabetes is just it's a condition where our body doesn't quite manage sugar as it should, so our blood sugar. So what happens is that our pancreas is responsible for producing a hormone called insulin, and insulin is responsible for helping to balance the blood sugar levels. And so what happens, so we have two different types of diabetes. Well, two main types. Let me say four. So we got pre-diabetes, where, let me just go to that particular slide. So we have, just a list, give me the three, the four. So we have pre-diabetes, where your blood sugar level isn't high enough to be diagnosed as having diabetes. So your A1C is a test that we use to determine that. And so your A1C test is a blood test that tells you how much sugar is attached to your red blood cells. And so when we have between 5.7 to 6.4%, that means you have pre-diabetes, all right? And then you have diabetes when your A1C is 6.5% or above. And of course, when it's lower than 5%, it means you're normal. Then we have what we call gestational diabetes that pregnant women develop during their pregnancy, and afterwards, after having the baby, it goes away. But if they're not careful and practice healthy lifestyle principles, it's going to come back as type 2 diabetes. And then we have type 1, so we have type 1, which one I have here? Right, so type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease. That's where our immune system actually destroys the beta cells in the pancreas so that it can't produce any insulin. And so as a result, those persons have to get insulin via injection. All right. They have to be on insulin and injection for the rest of their lives. Of course, it's becoming much easier now with technology in terms of them developing continuous glucose monitoring, but they don't have to be pricking themselves or giving themselves needles all with 3-4 times a day. All right. So type 1, you see on the side, on my right side, so you see glucose in the bloodstream. So yes, insulin, it acts like a key to open the door of the cells so that the sugar can go into the cells, and then we can use it then we can be energized by it. In type 2 diabetes, the door of the cells is partially closed, and so sugar can't get in really well. And so we use insulin for type 2 diabetes as well as oral medications or pills or tablets. And so in this case, we say also too, you have some insulin resistance. All right. And then if you look at the very top one, that's when you don't have any diabetes. So you see insulin standing up there, the sugar happily goes into the cells where it uses or produces energy for the body. Right. And so as you mentioned, this month is World Diabetes Awareness Month, and our theme is that the theme globally is diabetes and well-being. And this year we're focusing on diabetes and the workplace. All right. Now, these are just some risk factors for diabetes. So we call that non-modifiable ones. So what you can't do anything about, like your genetics, which only about 5% is caused by causes type 2 diabetes. Could be family history. Of course, we know families have similar dietary and activity practices, so they tend to have the same lifestyle conditions. And our race or ethnicity, because we're Black, we higher risk for developing type 2 diabetes. Of course, as we get older too, if we don't take care of ourselves, we can develop type 2 diabetes. And then if you have a history of gestational diabetes, then yes. Also, certain medications that the non-modifiable ones, the modifiable ones will be like our weight, activity levels, dietary habits. If you have high blood pressure too, diabetes like to come along. All right. Then smoking also increases the risk. And also medications can be for both sides of them, modifiable as well as non-modifiable. Then symptoms now. So you're always hungry. So you just ate half an hour ago and it feels like you haven't eaten anything. All right. That's because the body doesn't recognize that you actually ate some food, because glucose, as long as glucose isn't able to get in those cells, then the body treats it as having no food. All right. So all that sugar stays in your bloodstream and it causes you to feel hungry, causes you to feel tired, maybe perhaps dizzy. You're peeing along as the body's trying to get rid of some of that sugar. There could be sexual problems where your blood vessels are affected, so the blood doesn't flow properly. And for females, you could be these infections. Your visions can become blurred. As a result, you can have tingling in your hand and your feet. Then you're always thirsty. So you're thirsty, drinking a whole lot of water, even though it may not be hot. And this is one that a lot of us may tend to miss because we may naturally drink a lot of water and we may develop diabetes, but we still drinking plenty of water. So that may not be a definite sign a lot of times. But if you have unexplained weight loss, like you're trying to lose weight without even trying, then you need to go get checked out, all right? Also, if you have wounds that won't heal, all of these are symptoms of diabetes. Of course, there are other ones, but these are the classic ones. All right, in terms of complications, so the reason why we try to educate persons as much as possible about diabetes is because of the complications that can happen as a result, all right? And it can be a stroke, it could be high blood pressure, your eyes could be affected, we call it diabetic retinopathy, then your kidneys could be affected, we call it diabetic nephropathy, then your nerves can be affected, we call it diabetic neuropathy, and then the other eye complications could happen, glaucoma, could have cataracts in there as well, poor bone healing, as I mentioned earlier, cardiovascular disease. And this is the one that most persons die from, most persons who have diabetes, they die from heart disease. All right, diabetic foot ulcers, and then cognitive deficits also affects our brain or how we think. All right, then there could be amputations of the limbs. Of course, you can go blind if you don't get your eyes tested on a regular basis. There can be skin and mouth infections, so you want to make sure when you go to the doctor, get your annual checkups. Make sure you get everything tested. Make sure your doctor knows that you are diabetic. All right. So, any questions so far, Jackie?
No, you're doing a pretty good job. I just made the observation about the blood pressure. That's an interesting one. I don't know, you might have
Yes.
mentioned that before, but that pops out at me because in the Bahamas, lots of our people, including at times yours truly, has the challenge with blood pressure, regulating that blood pressure and keeping that within an acceptable range. So yeah, that pops up.
Okay, yes. I like to call them twins sometimes. A lot of patients who come to the clinic, they normally have the two of them. And so we try to, well, we try to treat them, but provide intervention programs that will address both of those conditions at the same time. All right, so as I mentioned, our theme for this year is diabetes in the workplace. So we're going to look more at that. And so according to the statistics, they said 7 and 10 persons have diabetes in the workplace. All right, so this is very important. All right, and so because of the complications and different signs and symptoms of diabetes, it's going to affect your work. Okay, there can be frequent urination when the blood sugar levels are high, being extremely thirsty. So when you frequently urinate, you have to keep going to the bathroom. All right, that affects your work. Okay, extreme thirst. You're always drinking water. You might be going to the water fountain or wherever you get your water from. Always getting some water to drink. All right, you're always hungry. So you're always eating. I always have to go find food. Then you're tired. Of course, when you're tired, you really can't focus well and be productive. Then there's blurred vision. When the vision's affected, you can't see. So you can't really work, especially if you have a job where you're always looking at let's say in front of a computer, or you have to read, or wherever you have to use your eyes a whole lot, is going to affect your job. And so these few reasons here, these make it's very important to care for your blood sugars when you're at work. And so what employers can do, all right, they need to be sensitive to the needs of their employees, all right? And I know in government this may be a challenge because of general orders. General orders may not have this even written into it. I don't remember ever seeing it. But employees need to be sensitive and allowing flexibility to their employees when it comes to their dietary habits, all right? They may need to have lunch or snacks at certain times during the day. Also, they may need to manage, well, they will need to check their blood sugar levels to see where they're at, especially if they feel like their blood sugar levels are low. They start to feel dizzy, their hands start to shake, they start to sweat a whole lot. They will need actually someone to check their blood sugar levels at that time because they may be too ill to actually check their blood sugar levels. Then also in providing a private place to take medications, all right, especially if they're injecting insulin. They need to find somewhere where they're comfortable. Instead of going out in their vehicle, if they have a vehicle, that may be a bit strenuous on them at the time. And especially if their blood sugar levels are low or high, they may not even be able to make it to their vehicle to test their blood sugars. So there needs to be a place, a dedicated place where they can go, where they feel safe to check their blood sugars, all right? And then some people are very private too. And so they may not want to, maybe let's say if they're at their desk, they may not want to test it at their desk. And some people just don't, it's not an issue, so they may want to check it at their desk. And then also what employees can do, so if the employee has issue with their eyes, they can provide special equipment that will help them to be able to see better and cope better. They can also provide diabetes education and encourage them. So let's say, for example, an 8 weeks of wellness program is happening, or a workplace wellness program is happening, or community wellness program, diabetes education program is happening. They can perhaps allow their employees to go and attend those sessions so that they can become more empowered and they can actually manage their condition better. And then also providing access to healthy foods. All right. So whether it's in the cafeterias, vending machines, wherever food is offered. I know sometimes they may have persons coming and selling food from their vehicle. So we want all these people to provide as healthy foods as possible to persons, especially, but it should be to everybody. But for persons who have type 2 diabetes, they really need to be more adamant about getting nutritious or healthy foods to eat. And also, they will have to take time off to get their medical checkups. It may be more time than general orders allow. And this is for the public sector, the private sector, the same thing. So a lot of time to get their medical checkups and their follow-ups. That's very important. Okay, so heavy labor and diabetes. So persons who work landscaping, construction, any job where they use up a whole lot of energy, they would really have to check their blood sugar levels more often. and really pay attention to their bodies to make sure that their blood sugar levels are not low, because they don't want to go hypo. So these ones have to pay very particular attention. This especially, it happens more in persons who have type 1 diabetes. And then for the
Sorry, what
students,
is that expression? They don't want to go. What is that expression? And what does that mean?
which one?
You said they didn't want to go hypo. What
Oh,
was
yes.
the-
Yes. Hypoglycemia is low blood sugar.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And even if they're, so I'm happy you mentioned that. So if they go extremely low, let's say, well, it varies from person to person. They can go, so a person whose blood sugar level is, let's say, 30, they can be in a coma actually. But then a person that may be not so bad for another person. So you have to know yourself as well and know this and know your symptoms, all right? And they can go into a coma, and this is where it's important that your employees know that you're diabetic. So that, and then you also need to teach them what to do. And so this is why it's good for workplaces to have education sessions on these different health conditions so that they'll be empowered so they can know how to help persons who have diabetes.
Let me ask this question about coma when you go into a coma. If you were to go into a coma, because I'm thinking about my sister's journey and her not knowing that she had diabetes and having one of those spikes, and which ultimately led to her falling and then her death, right? Shortly thereafter, because she had a second spike. When you go into a coma, when they regain consciousness, are they aware, based on your experience, that they went into a coma? Can they explain to you like, oh, I must have gone into a coma, or I lost my balance, or sometimes that time, whatever happened to you is just totally forgotten or missed? You understand what I'm trying to ask?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think some of them may remember without been a lapse in time that they actually went into a coma. So and then sometimes when you're in a coma, let's say for person example, an alcoholic, all right? Let's say an alcoholic, let's say you're always drunk, whatever. And so it's almost a similar state when a person go into a coma, like when they're drunk and they have no sense of the world. They don't know what's going on around them. And sometimes a person a diabetic who's an alcoholic, they can be missed a lot of times. Because we had an experience one time when there was one of my colleagues, there was this gentleman who was a drunkard and he was diabetic as well. He went into coma. People thought he was drunk, and so they left him. But she was able to intervene in a timely fashion. So what you do if a person goes into coma, if you have some sugar, well, try get some sugar. Make a paste, let's say about a teaspoon of sugar, make a paste and put it under the person's tongue, and the sugar will get into the bloodstream, and that will help the person's sugar levels to rise. And another thing, a person with diabetes, they should always carry their testing kit with them, and they should always have an EpiPen. All right, so the person can take out the pen, they can give them a shot, and that will increase the glucagon, which will help to increase their blood sugar levels, so that they'll actually come to. So one time I was doing a session at one of my clinics, and this lady, I just saw her acting kind of weird. She then she was making like certain outbursts. I was like, wow. And I looked at my records to see what her blood sugar level was. She was like 140, which was fine. And so over that like half hour, so her blood sugar level dropped. And so there was somebody, I said, oh boy, I think she's having a low. She's going hypo. And so somebody offered her a candy, and she took the candy, she tossed it. All right. And then so I dashed to the back to the lab, asked if they had any sugar or sweet juice or whatever. They said no. So I said, well, if you have somebody going to hypo, you'll need to come now to attend to her. So by the time they got their sugar dropped more, so they had to hook her up to but they did give us sugar via the what do you call the things now, via oh gosh, the tube that they hook up to you. It's the name is slipping me right now. So they had to give her sugar through that. And after a while, she started to come. Then she started to make certain sounds. And then she gradually she regained consciousness. And then she was like, "Oh, gee, what happened?" And then we told her that she went into a coma. So we tried to get something for her to eat, well, to drink first, and then get a meal. Well, I actually dropped her home. She wasn't living too far from me, but that was kind of scary in a way because people's blood sugar can drop very fast, very quickly, and so you always have to be careful, especially with children who may not really know, or not very aware of the science of low blood sugar. You have to really be educated and responsive to their needs so that they don't die. All
Do
right.
you treat, what about children? Is there a special, do you treat children the same way that you treat the adults, or there's some, there's
So
some difference in
basically,
terms of how you would cater to a child versus an adult?
basically it's the same thing. Also in terms of treating low blood sugar, it could be if you don't have, like, let's say juice, any kind of sweet juice, especially orange juice. If you have none of them around, or soda, just to drink the whole can of soda one time, but maybe about a half can of soda, that'll help to bring the sugar back up. But we prefer to use juice. Or if you don't have the juice, you can use sugar and water. So it's like 3 teaspoons of sugar to 8 ounces of water. Stir it up and let the person drink that solution. And then they also have the sugar tablets that you can find in the pharmacies, and you also have the glucose syrups that you can buy also from the pharmacy to use in the event that your blood sugar level drops. So it's the same treatment for both adults and for children. Okay,
Thank you.
no problem. All right, so yes, let's continue with children and youth. They really have to, well, they have, especially at the high school level, let's say university level, when they, let's say when they get a job, not for children, but straight across the board. They have a lot of extracurricular activities. Of course, they have social lives, work commitments. So all of these make it a bit more challenging to manage their blood sugar levels. So we try to get them on a schedule to be able to 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 not go into hypo or even hypoglycemia, where the blood sugar levels actually goes high. So we try to keep them as balanced as much as possible, make sure they eat well, they take their medication, they exercise, they make sure they get enough sleep. All of those things help to create a happy medium when it comes to blood sugar level control. And so more accommodations for diabetes management. So perhaps employees can look at flexible work hours, have additional breaks for blood sugar monitoring, especially for a newly diagnosed person. They really have to check the blood sugar level, but we actually have them check the blood sugar levels more often just to see the pattern of where it's going. And usually when a person is diagnosed too, especially type 1s, the blood sugar levels are all over the place. So we try to check it on a daily basis, multiple times a day, so that we can help them to be able to balance their sugar levels as much as possible, along with their food and their activity levels. We're trying to get a happy medium there so that they feel well and have a healthy lifestyle. All right. I talked about access to healthy food options earlier. That's very, very important. The opportunities to keep diabetes supplies at the workplace, another key component. So for persons who have diabetes, of course, you want to make sure don't keep it to yourself. All right, this is not time for secrets when it comes to your health. You want your supervisor and your colleagues to know that you have diabetes. All right. You want to teach them once you are empowered, and let's say they don't know, you want to teach them what to do in the case where you may have a low or high blood sugar level, what to do. All right. And of course, if you're not sure what to do if you have someone who has diabetes, a co-worker, you just call the ambulance. But diabetes is so sensitive, you want to try to treat as soon as possible. All right. Then you want to be active. Try not to sit for long periods of time. and you want to manage your stress levels, okay? Even if you just trying to do some deep breathing, that's going to help reduce your stress levels. So make sure you have avenues, whether it's exercise, whether it's prayer, whatever you use to manage your stress, you want to make sure your stress is as low as possible. Okay, so a lot of times having diabetes, you may not be feeling well, and high blood sugar levels actually cause you to feel a little tired. So you want to make sure that you check your blood sugar level, see where it's at. If it's high, then you want to make sure, hey, did I take my medication? Am I feeling ill? And then another thing is when you ill, your sugar level goes up too. So you want to test more frequently during that time. Your weight status. Do I have too much body weight? Because when we have too much body weight too, that makes it more difficult to manage blood sugar levels. You have to take more medication in terms of insulin and or medication. So if you lose about 10% of your body weight, the management becomes much more manageable. All right. Focus on concentration becomes difficult if your blood sugar levels are high or low. So to be productive as possible, you want to try to make sure that your blood sugar levels are at normal levels. That normal levels means that, let's say before you eat lunch, your blood sugar level should be under 140, between about 70 to 140, and 2 to 3 hours after eating, your blood sugar level should be under 140 as well. Okay, so to make sure that you know those numbers and that you follow them, try to reach them as much as possible. Sick days, and times when you are sick, you want to make sure I check your blood sugar levels more frequently. As I mentioned, your blood sugar, and so for all of us, when we are sick, our blood sugar level goes up. For the person who has diabetes, you have to make sure you stay well hydrated, make sure you still eat well, take your medication, so it doesn't go excessively high. Meal timing. You want to have your meals on time. Try not to get so involved in work that you forget to eat. All right. That's not good at all. You want to make sure that you eat on time. Eat your breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever meal you have. Try to have it at the same time every day. When you have it at the same time every day, your body gets used to that particular timing. And so it works much better, actually gets ready to digest and assimilate your food. So make sure that you have times to eat. So you should be eating every 4 to 5 hours. All right. Don't go more than 5 hours without eating any food. Okay. Make sure you take your medicine with you. Have them.
Sorry,
So if you
not to interrupt you, but I
go ahead.
pause right there in that point. So should people who are diabetic, should they be involved with, intermittent fasting and things of that nature? Is that a challenge for them?
Yes, like that. Yes, that could be a challenge. Yes. Because that long time fasting, the 18 hours, if you mean that particular intermittent fasting, the 18,
Yes.
18-6, yeah, that could be a bit of a challenge. They could have low blood sugars during that time. But if they feel like they want and have to do it, they have to really monitor themselves to see what their blood sugar levels would be like. All right, but it's kind of dangerous, especially for type, well, the two of them, but especially type 1. I wouldn't advise intermittent fasting for them. Type 2 could it wouldn't be as tragic per se. Yeah, but it wouldn't be as tragic per se for type 2s, but type 1, it could be really tragic. Okay.
Why? Why is there a difference in terms of the approach?
Because,
2 versus
yeah,
1.
okay, so in type 1 diabetes, their blood sugar levels, well, they have to take insulin, all right? And so their blood sugar levels would be, how can I put this now? They would need to fuel more, they would need to eat more to keep their blood sugar levels steady, all right, with their medication. And so if they go off tangent, off their meal times, things go sort of haywire. Okay. when they don't eat a certain time, the blood see type 1, that the blood sugar level drops very quickly. And especially if they are active, using a whole lot of energy, that could be dangerous, especially with children, because the children are always active, so they have to eat and they have to fuel at particular times. If they don't fuel, their sugar level drops, and they have to get help with their situation at that time. You have to actually treat their blood sugar. You have to have them to have use a quick source of sugar for them to get their blood sugar levels up. And then
Okay.
afterwards, within half an hour, then they get a full meal.
All right.
For,
Go ahead. No, finish it. Finish what you said.
Yeah, so for a person who has type 2, their blood sugar levels don't it doesn't really, well, for on an average, it doesn't like fluctuate. Now if they're very active, it could be a difference, but if they're not very active, then it wouldn't be so much as children, as a child's blood sugar level who has type 1.
Okay, thank you. Great job. We have a question. I was about to go to the Zoom room, but we have one hand already up.
No problem.
So we can unmute that mic. I think Ms. Gloria Mary. I see your hand up. Unmute your mic, and okay, there you go. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Okay, I'm Gloria from Nigeria.
Wow.
Welcome. I'm telling you, our program is really international. Great to have you. Proceed to ask your question.
So my question is it possible to advise people with diabetes to use herb? Like here, people take soursop tea, and it reduces the sugar cravings for the day, because I think too much of consumption makes the insulin to go up, especially carbs. If they can take the tea, it helps them to drop the cravings for food for a while, which intermittent fasting is usually encouraged for those with diabetes to fix their body naturally. So what's your take? Is the herb advisable? Thank you.
Okay, so don't go yet. You said I want to make sure I understand, because my computer, I don't know if my computer is cutting in and out. You mentioned about herbs, if they can take certain herbs.
Yeah, like soursop leaves, they say it's helpful. It helps sugar drop.
Yes, it does help. So it's just a matter of them. Well, this one can be kind of tricky, right? So if they're taking medication, I normally advise my patients to, if they're going to take any kind of herbs and they're on prescription medication, take it between their medication. So let's say they take medication in the morning, they can do their herbs later in the afternoon. Because there may be, or I'll check to see if the herb interferes with their type of diabetes medication that they're taking. If it doesn't interfere, then they could take it about the same time.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. And thanks for bringing up. Are you from Ghana?
No, I'm from Nigeria.
Right, you did say Nigeria, right? So I know another Gloria. She's from, I met her from Ghana. Okay.
Oh.
So I'm happy you brought that up too, because we do use herbs. We encourage diabetics to use like moringa and cinnamon. Cinnamon is extremely good in helping to lower blood sugar levels and helping to lower it. So those two are pretty good. Of course, turmeric is another one, because diabetes is a condition of inflammation, and those herbs are anti-inflammatory, so they will help to improve the diabetes, the blood sugar management.
Okay, I've never heard that one. Inflammation, diabetes. Okay, you learn from that every day. So the cinnamon would also help with the blood pressure.
Yes, as far as I remember, yes, it will help.
What about turmeric?
Oh yes, turmeric help with everything.
Okay, all right.
Well, almost everything, I should say.
Okay, when in doubt, use
inflammation.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, we want to make sure we didn't. Any other question from our Zoom room or Facebook? I see some of my friends on. I don't know if she want me to call her name, but welcome in the Zoom room. So glad to have you joining us. Always good to see friends. Any other question before we allow her to proceed? We want to make sure that we are able to get those questions in. We only have 1 hour, and that hour goes by very quickly. So anyone else? All right. You can proceed.
Okay, so another important thing is they need to know their blood sugar level status, and that comes with testing. All right, you have to test. I know we as Black people we don't like needles, okay, but the thing is, the needles are so fine that you hardly ever feel the any pain from it. What to do? You want to make sure you stick on the outside of your finger, like on the side, not in the middle where you have all of those nerve endings, but that actually hurts more. And so if you go into the doctor, or let's say the clinic, and they gonna check your blood sugar level, make sure it's on the side of your finger and not on the top. All right. So don't be afraid to test the blood sugar levels, or if you have to take insulin. I tell people if I was a diabetic, I was going to go on insulin rather than prescription meds, because with taking insulin, it's much more flexible. You have more flexibility, especially with your meal plans. All right, with your diet. So make sure you have a testing kit. Every diabetic should have a glucose testing kit. And they should have it on them at all times. It's very small. You can actually slip it into your purse. Um, and even for men, you can put it in your pocket or whatever, but always have it on you. In the event you feel a little off, you can test the blood sugar level and see what it is. All right. Wearing a medical diabetes ID is also very important. So persons, hey, they know you're a diabetic. So if they see you look like you knock out or whatever, like if you're unconscious, they can know, hey, this person's a diabetic. This is what I need to do to treat him or her. All right. So make sure always wear a medical diabetes ID. Yes, I mentioned having a test kit, have one at work, always have a quick source of sugar. So whether it's a little pack of juice, the 8 ounces of juice, whether it's the glucose tablets or the glucose syrup, always have a quick source of sugar on you. Eat your meals on time. I can't underscore that enough. Eat your meals on time if you want to feel well and be productive. Have snacks handy if you need them. Well, merely the type 1 diabetics would need the snacks, not so much to type 2. The reason we don't want type 2 to be having the snacks is that they can actually be increasing their blood sugar levels and more calories, and especially if they're overweight or obese, that can actually add more to their weight. So we don't want them having snacks. Yeah. And then monitoring the blood sugar levels. So you may need to test the blood sugar levels 2 times a day, 1 time a day, based on what your diabetes educator or dietitian or your physician, or however they advise you to test it. And of course, you want to stay hydrated with water, okay? If you need a water bottle to carry to work, make sure purchase the water bottle, take it with you to work, to school. As you're going to exercise, make sure you always stay hydrated. When you're dehydrated, your blood sugar level actually goes up because your blood becomes more concentrated. All right, so make sure you stay well hydrated. Okay, and so even with school, when it comes to type 1 diabetes, we want the school administration, the classroom teacher, and the students. We need them to know that, hey, this particular student has type 1 diabetes. If you see them exhibiting these types of symptoms, make sure report it so that we can help them. All right. And so I know this is a lot to read on here, but I give the basis of it. So students with type 1 should make sure eat at appropriate times and have enough time to finish their meals and snacks. All right. And if they eat slow like me, they can need plenty time to eat. All right. They need to do blood sugar checks regularly. They can have low blood sugar, which needs to be managed right away. Okay. And this is why I mentioned about having to call the ambulance. It may take a long time. So persons around there, persons who are close by or in the same classroom like that, they need to know what to do. Persons in your office, now they need to know what to do, how to help you to manage your blood sugar levels. All right. You may need to eat snack outside of the scheduled times to prevent low blood sugar. As I mentioned, the students with type 1, they need to have the snacks. Then remember too, they also grow, so they need more calories and more nutrients. They may also need insulin during the day by injection or by pump. And they can also fully participate in any kind of physical activities unless they're really, really sickly. They don't need to not participate in physical activity, but everyone who has, well, all of us need to be physically active, all right? So we don't exclude the type 1 diabetic from being active. Because children are naturally active. And when you see them not being active, then you know something is perhaps wrong. All right, so make sure that they get the activity in as well. Okay, and just to emphasize about the food, getting more into the dietary part of it. Okay, so foods that will increase your blood sugar levels, we call them the carbs, the carbohydrates. We say carbs for short. The carbs are your milk and yogurt, your sweets and desserts, your fruit and juices, your grains and carbohydrate containing vegetables like potatoes, cassava, pumpkin, foods like those. All right, they have. So when you have too much of these, the sugar level goes up. If you have too little, the sugar level goes down. All right. And when I said that, I mean hypo. All right. And so we want to have a quarter of the plate being the carbs, a quarter being the protein, and half being your vegetables. Let me give you a pictorial view, better one. So here you can see half of it being vegetables, a quarter being, so you see a solid vegetables here. So any type of vegetables you like, that's fine. All right, corn is a starchy vegetable. So you don't put peas and rice and chicken and corn there. That's just starch and protein. All right. But we need to put the vegetables in. This is one of the most under-eaten food in the Bahamas. We need to eat more vegetables. All right. Now you see the bean and rice there. And I can tell you for one, beans are excellent at helping to reduce blood sugar. All right. Beans are powerful. Because it has both insoluble and soluble fiber that helps to lower the blood sugar, as well as the pressure and the cholesterol. So we need to have beans in our diet every day for prevention, treatment, and reversal of these chronic illnesses. All right. Now, when it comes to the protein, whether you eat chicken or tofu or fish, it's a quarter of your plate. All right. So depending on which stage you are in life cycle, whether you're a child, an adult, or an older adult, we'll actually sort of change the proportion of your plate. All right. And so one thing I've realized too with those who have better blood sugar management, when they start off with a vegetable, so whatever meal you have, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you always start off with a salad or vegetable, some type of vegetable. Then you eat your protein and fat second, then you eat your carbs last. I just want to mention too again about these kinds of carbs, all right? So carbs like rice and potatoes and pasta. So let's say you cook some peas and rice this morning, all right? This morning and it's cooled. So let's say you put it in the fridge for at least 4 hours. You take it out and reheat it. It will not spike your blood sugar levels like the fresh rice that you would have cooked. All right, so always cool the rice first and then reheat it and then eat it. Rice, potatoes, or pasta. All right, so just a wrap up here. So to encourage regular meal breaks, provide healthy food options just for workplaces, allow employees to take frequent breaks, activity breaks, support regular checkups and glucose monitoring, and also have to reduce workplace stress. All right, you know your employee has diabetes, don't be stressing them out. All right, be sensitive to their needs, but at the same time, we want the person of diabetes to be responsible and not take advantage of the situation, right? All right, so during this month, as much as World Diabetes Month, so we want to encourage you to wear blue. All right, blue is the color for diabetes. And if you need a shirt, you can contact us for a t-shirt, World Diabetes Day t-shirt, or World Diabetes Month t-shirt. I see there's Andrea Lillian is on. She can put a number in there. You can get a shirt from her, or you can hit me up and I'll connect to her. And then NHI is having a beneficial educational session in partnership with the Bahamas Diabetes Association on Thursday, November 20th at 12 p.m. And it's a virtual platform, Zoom and Facebook Live. You can tune in via there to get some more information on diabetes. And then for the rest of the month, the 22nd, Rotary of South Ocean, then our kids with diabetes are going to be having a health expo from 10 to 3 at the Holy Trinity Hall. And then on the 29th, we're going to have the Ministry of Health partnering with them to have a walkathon and health fair at 6 a.m. at Arwaki. Well, the fun run walk is going to be from Arwaki to Goodman's Bay. So the health fair will be, I guess, end up being at Goodman's Bay. All right, so just remember these and other ways to manage and reverse and prevent diabetes. Make sure you practice New Start. Make sure you eat smart, good nutrition. Make sure you exercise, get sufficient water, stay hydrated. Make sure get your sunshine. Make sure be temperate in all things. Get some fresh air, get some rest, and make sure you trust in God. These 8 doctors here, these will keep you healthy for life. All right, so I'm just going to turn it over now. If you have any more questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Let me go to my Zoom room before I ask my last question because time is winding down. Anyone in the Zoom room, Facebook, that have a question, we do not want. I see my friend Ms. Raming is on. Shout out to Ms. Raming. Excellent presentation from always, I must say. Shandira really comes ready. So that's a feedback from the chat. Excellent presentation. So no feedback. So I'm going to ask my last question in the interest of time. So Shandira, you shared a lot of valuable information with respect to diabetes in the workplace. How is your organization getting this message out to the respective employers? Are you going to chambers of commerce and reaching out to them and the various employers there? I mean, tell me a little bit about in terms of good information, right? So you just came, you told me that knowledge is power when applied. That moved me, right? When I'm like, yes. That is deep. So if you just sharing this information and you're not making sure employees like imply it and is accountable, tell me a little bit about what the association is doing in that regard as we close.
Okay, so the association, so we had a symposium actually on Friday. That was excellent. We had a dietitian, endocrinologist, a nephrologist, and a psychiatrist talking about diabetes management, and included the workplace as well. So we have that. It was recorded. It's on our Facebook page, the New Diabetes Association, New Bahamas Diabetes Association. You can look on Facebook. You can hit up any of us. We can have the recording to you. We can get it to you. Also, what else we're doing? I know Madam President is here and other executives, they can share because I don't remember right now. But the thing is, in terms of the Ministry of Health, I know we need to get the information out. I know certain clinics are having different diabetes activities in terms of education. I know they're doing that. I know I heard some of them on the air earlier this month talking about diabetes management. And so we're trying to get a message out. And the thing is, if we have members of the public wanting us to come and do presentations, whether it's from Bahamas Diabetes Association or the Ministry of Health, we are also open to doing those.
Thank you so very much. I don't know if anyone from your team, we got 2 minutes, 1 minute. Anyone from the team wants to say anything before we close? Or you're just listening in and monitoring and ensuring that Ms. Smith keep that quality of information high. Great quality. I think you're just listening in. So great job. I think they're going to grade you afterward, Shandira. It's a beautiful Sunday. Always great to be on the show, Transforming Lives. We have one main objective, which is positively transforming lives. And we believe that Christ is at the very center of that experience, that transformation. And then from there flows, information. God wants us to be knowledgeable. We have the whole book of knowledge and wisdom written in the word. And so we want you to not just take this information. Shandira now pens this word for me. Application of knowledge is power. We want you to apply it. So you've heard us. Go and speak with your workplaces and say, hey, I've heard some quality information. I think it will be make a difference in our workplace. Can we have this team on to share this powerful information and, cause a ripple effect to take place in the workplace and in our nation? And we fully endorse that. Thank you so much for taking the time out, your valuable Sunday, to be with us. And we invite you to join us next week, same place, same time, same great people. Have a beautiful Sunday, everyone. Bye.